What is happening in the Panjshir Valley? In one sense, I'm hearing that the resistance to the Taliban are making major gains, but in another, I saw this report from Reuters this morning where Massoud, who is declared at least the head of the resistance, said that they're ready for talks with the Taliban, which sound to me like they might be losing. So, what's your interpretation of what's happening here?
Yeah, I think you really kind of framed it well too, because there is sort of I am hearing sort of this double-sided thing, and this often does happen from the battlefield where both sides kind of want to tout their successes and victories, and it's not quite clear who's actually telling the truth. Now we did touch on this story kind of in its very early stages when it was first developing, but quite a lot has happened since with this whole anti-Taliban resistance in Panjshir. So pretty soon after the fall of Kabul, the former vice president under the U.S.-backed government, Amrullah Saleh, he kind of declared himself as basically the technical leader of Afghanistan because Ghani had fled, and he was still there. And at the time, he mentioned that he was heading to Panjshir province to help lead a resistance movement against the Taliban. And I think even at the time, we may have showed images of him along with this major Tajik warlord, Ahmad Massoud, who you mentioned. I think we showed a picture of them going there to Panjshir. And Ahmad Massoud is the son of this other big warlord, Ahmad Shah Massoud, who had fought the Taliban through the 1990s, but who was assassinated in 2001. However, his son Ahmed has kind of taken over for him, and he is now sort of the major resistance leader in this movement in Panjshir. And this is made up of a lot of former troops from the Afghan military and other remnants of the former government, like the former VP Saleh, who is kind of one of the leaders there. And Massoud's son, Ahmed Massoud, actually recently published an op-ed in the Washington Post trying to rally people to lobby their governments to support the Panjshir fighters. And the thing about Panjshir, the province is historically a stronghold for what's called the Northern Alliance. And that was a group of warlords from northern Afghanistan who kind of came together to fight the Taliban in the 90s. And when the Taliban actually ruled Afghanistan in the 90s as the actual government, when they were the previous Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, Panjshir was actually the only region they couldn't totally capture and pacify. So it does have significance as this kind of bastion of anti-Taliban resistance. And currently, at least as far as I know, that the Taliban does not actually fully control that province. And now I wasn't totally sure when they were first announcing this, when the old VP was saying that we're going to lead this resistance movement, and Massoud was saying that. I wasn't sure if this was going to be just a PR stunt and just a very short-lived thing, but it does seem serious. There's photos now of columns of troops carrying the old Northern Alliance flag. They're calling themselves the National Resistance Front, the NRF, and so they've sort of given themselves an official name. And some fighting has already broken out. On Saturday, the Taliban apparently tried to move into the province. You kind of referred to this, but there's been some conflicting reports. The Taliban claimed that they did capture a strategic entrance into the Panjshir Valley, and that they've had some successes. However, the Panjshir guys claim that they repelled them and that they killed a bunch of Taliban fighters and held them off. And so it's hard to trust a lot of these battlefield reports. It's not really clear who is telling the truth here. I know that one Taliban rep did speak to Al Jazeera and said that their advance had been kind of slowed down because a lot of the roads in Panjshir have been landmined. A lot of the roads into the capital of Bazarak have landmines on them. And so, again, it's not totally clear what the situation is there currently. I'm not sure who controls what exactly, how far the Taliban has moved in there. But we do know for a fact that there is some fighting going on in Panjshir. Now, one of the last things I had seen, because there had previously been some attempts to negotiate before this fighting started. The Taliban had reportedly offered to let the local militias appoint whatever governors they had wanted, but I guess those talks had broken down and they started fighting. But apparently, like you said, Massoud is now talking about being willing to negotiate again with the Taliban. And so that is some of the last stuff I had seen. And I guess that might suggest that maybe the fighting isn't going too well for the Panjshiri fighters, that he's willing to talk. Because my impression is sort of this was a long shot that these Panjshir guys are going to take back Afghanistan from the Taliban. However, it is worth noting that in the 90s, the Taliban could not pacify this province. So, maybe these guys really can put up a fight. But I guess we'll see, and we'll see if these talks really do go through. That is some of the latest news.